I'm Kiana Miner. Welcome to the Crazy Courage webinar, where we are busting success myths and learning how to live more courageously. Today, I am happy that we are going to be talking with Kute Blackson. Kute is an utterly unique visionary in the world of human potential. Unlike those who promise to simply help people get what they want, Kute's life work instead reveals to people what they have to give by liberating who they are most truly and deeply. The focus of his work is freedom. Q is creating a world shift in consciousness. Um, he's widely known as a transformational facilitator, speaker, and leader. So thank you so much, Q, for joining us today. Hello, can you hear me?
It's great to be here. I've been looking forward to it. I can?
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you. So, Q, can you tell us a little bit about how courage has been important to you in your life's work?
Sure. Courage for me has been a huge part of my life. I was ordained as a minister at age 14, and I started speaking in my father's church when I was age 8. So I was ordained at 14, given the mandate to take over my father's ministry, and my father had about 300 churches, and I was basically the successor, designated the successor with all these expectations on me. And I was expected to take over, to be the leader, to lead a whole new generation, and hundreds of thousands of people, just looking up to me, so to speak. And my life was kind of set out for me. The path was carved for me. And I remember feeling this distinct feeling as a young boy, even that age, around 13, 14, that I knew I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. I knew I wanted to have an impact. But I just had this feeling and this knowing that it wasn't through the structure of religion or an organization in any way. I felt a different calling, but I didn't really have the courage to really honor my deepest truth. And it took me about 4 years to own my truth. It took me about 4 years to realize, wait a second, there is a deeper expression, there's a deeper truth that is seeking to express through me. So it took me 4 years to finally have a conversation with my father and let my father know, I love you, but I'm not taking over. But I was afraid that he would outcast me. I was afraid that he would never speak to me. I was afraid I would lose a relationship. And I think that many times we all feel a sense that there's something more. We all feel a deeper truth. We all feel that perhaps the life that we're living is, maybe we've outgrown the life that we're living, but often that gap is scary because it requires giving up what we've lived. It requires giving up who we've been. It often requires letting go of what we've built, worked so hard to build. So it can be scary. So sometimes there's payoffs for not following our deepest truth. There's payoffs for not following and living with courage because of what that might mean. So I knew that even as a young boy that there was going to be some consequences. But I got to a point where I really saw that I could follow the safe route. I could follow the safe path, which was take over my father's churches, do what was expected. But I knew in my heart that my soul was dying. I knew in my heart that if I made that choice, a part of me would be living dead. And that was so painful that, as scary as it was, as afraid as I was, I knew I had to follow my truth. I knew I had to have the courage and follow my truth. And many people sometimes think, oh, I want to live without any fear. I want to get rid of fear. And to me, life is not about living without fear. Fear is an emotion, just like happiness is an emotion, just like sadness is an emotion. To me, there's no good or bad emotions. There's just emotions, and emotions are really a feedback mechanism. So I think we get to let go of this idea of I should have no fear, and if I'm enlightened and if I'm transformed, then I have no fear. I'll just walk around totally levitating above human experience. And I think to me, being human, being fully alive is feeling fear, is acknowledging fear, because fear is a feedback mechanism. Oh, maybe there's something in myself I need to pay attention to. But real courage is when you feel the fear, you acknowledge it and don't let that stop you. Where you feel it, you acknowledge it and go, yeah, I feel afraid. I'm about to get married. I'm about to acknowledge, I'm about to have a conversation with my spouse that I'm no longer in love and want to end the relationship. I'm about to leave my job. There might be fear, but just because there's fear there doesn't mean you don't do that thing, doesn't mean you don't follow through with your deepest truth. So for me, courage is sometimes being afraid. And despite the fear, making the choice, taking the action that is most authentic. So for me, at that point in my life, it was leaving my father's ministry. It was leaving the church and coming to America and telling my father I'm not taking over. Telling my father that I was not going to go to university. And again, everyone it was the expected thing to do. This is what you need to do in order to be happy, to be successful, to make money in life, to survive. What was that?
I said, where were you? You said you came to America.
I was living in London at the time, and I had a vision that, I read like 1,000 books on spirituality and self-help and personal development. By the time I was 18 and a half, I was just obsessed with understanding who are we and why am I here and what's the purpose of life and what's the secret to happiness, and something about people waking up, going to work, going to sleep, having a vacation, doing it all over again for 60, 70 years and just then dying just didn't seem right. I thought and no one seemed really happy where I was growing up, and I just felt there has to be more. So for me, as a kid, I had the courage, so to speak, to ask myself the questions. I had the courage to question myself. And many times we don't want to question ourselves because if I question, am I happy? If I question, is there more? If I question, what's my true purpose? If I question myself, then it might mean we actually have to acknowledge that certain things in our life currently aren't necessarily working, that certain things are no longer in alignment with who we have evolved into and becoming. It can be scary. It can be scary because we get comfortable. We get comfortable with what we've created. We get comfortable with certain relationships. We get comfortable with what we know. We get comfortable with how we've been doing it. We get comfortable with the job, with the husband, with whatever it is, with who we know ourselves to be. Sometimes we get even more comfortable, with the story that we've made up about ourselves. Like, oh, this is just who I am. So I think the real courage is to be willing to question everything, to question what we believe, to question what we think, to question who we've been, and to really dare to find out, what do I believe now? What's my truth today, right now? I know this is what I thought. I know this is what I felt that I felt, but is this true for me now? And to have the courage to question and let go of the past, let go of what no longer is working, And, I remember I had a client who, she had been living in anger and resentment and frustration and anger at her parents. And she was really stuck in that anger and pain. Almost like she'd created an entire life, a system, a life structure where she was always messing up. She was always screwing up. She had never really achieved her full potential. She never really, created sustained success in her life. And I worked with her one day, one-on-one, and as I was coaching her, I asked her, do you want to be right or do you want to be free? Because she created this story that she'd held so tightly onto about how they had wronged me, how my parents had wronged me and my father had wronged me and they screwed me up and this is why I am the way I am today, and it was almost as though she had this identity about that and this resentment that on some level she felt that by not succeeding, by being a failure, by screwing up, was somehow proving how right she was about how much they wronged her, about how much they had messed her up as a child.
Wow.
And the only person, so she couldn't actually afford to heal and let go of the pain because that would somehow condone how they treated her. Because if I succeed, then it means they did okay, and she didn't want that. So, for her, it was the courage to forgive, the courage to let go, the courage to say, what, I don't need to be right anymore. My parents did what they did the best they could. It wasn't really what I needed at the time, but I'm going to have the courage to let go and embrace a new life. So, to me, the real heroes, you ask about courage. I think we live in times more than ever right now where we need courage. To me, the real heroes aren't Jay-Z or Beyonce or, Oprah or Will Smith or Tom Cruise. To me, the real heroes are you and I. The real heroes are those that dare to forgive, even though life may have been challenging and giving you so many reasons to not love, to not forgive, to not give. And even though you may have been betrayed, even though you may have been abandoned, even though you may have the stories and all the reasons to not Open your heart. The real heroes are those that dare to enter life each day and say, I'm going to be who I am. Because so often in life, we get conditioned by the media. We're constantly being bombarded by advertising who you are is not enough. We're distracted. We're constantly being distracted. 500, social media channels, thousands of cable channels, distracted, disconnected from who we are. And I always say, if you can be distracted, then you can be disconnected. If you get disconnected, then you can get sold. And what we're constantly being sold is this idea of who you are is not enough. Be this way, be that way, be more like that person, be like this person. Look at this magazine. This is what beauty is. This is what success is. And we're constantly being sold that I believe that to truly be yourself takes courage. And there's so many voices outside that are conditioning us to conform, conditioning us to just be normal, whatever that means. Just why can't you just be more like so-and-so? Why can't you just be normal? And I say, in a world where we're constantly being conditioned to conform, to just fit a system, fit a mold, fit a programming, it takes courage to say, no, I will be myself. No, I will shine my light. No, I will be who I am and reveal who I am and dare to be the unique expression of divinity on this planet, even though it may never have been done before, even though no one may have achieved this before, even though there might not be a pathway carved out for me, I will be who I am. To me, that's the greatest accomplishment in life. And I think it takes real courage to be who you are, not just try and, hide. So this is life.
Okay, that's awesome. I loved every second of that. The living dead. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Like, what does that mean if we're not true to ourselves and we become the living dead?
Yeah, I feel the moment we stop authentically being who we are is the moment we die. Okay. You don't have to actually get to the end of your life to go, oh, now death is guaranteed. It's the only guarantee in life. From the moment you're born as a baby, you start crying. That moment you're marching towards death. It's the only guarantee. To me, it's not about when am I going to die. It's about how am I going to actually live my life. Because if we're not being who we are, really, if we're not truly being authentically ourselves, and I believe we are living dead. We are dying. And what's sad is, from the moment we're born, if you look at a child is free. A child is alive. A child is vibrant. I believe that's why when you look into a child's eyes, you see an innocence. You see an aliveness. You see a vibrancy. A child is in touch with the divine. A child is in touch with the infinite. A child will jump on a table, run around, just no self-consciousness. A child is alive, not because they won the lottery or, had great sex or had great champagne or got a promotion or, had a nice vacation or ate some chocolate. A child is alive just like for no reason. It's in touch with the source of aliveness itself, and I think that's why when we look into a child's eyes, we are all reminded of, that's who I am. Oh my God, look at this child. It reminds us of who we are, but as we go through life, slowly we get conditioned. Dealing with our parents, dealing with the pain, dealing with the abuse, trauma, abandonment, neglect, not being appreciated, being screamed at. We start learning all sorts of ways as children to disconnect, to not feel, to shut down, to suppress parts of ourselves. And we start shutting down parts of ourselves in order to just deal with what's going on around, to deal with our circumstance, to deal, maybe our parents weren't around and we felt abandoned and it was too painful. So we just learn to stuff our feelings, stuff our emotions, to not feel. And as we start shutting parts of ourselves down, in that moment we stop feeling. And as we stop feeling and we start suppressing things inside, you can say over time, slowly we disconnect from the totality of our being. And as a result, we start dying off slowly. And before you know it, we stuff another part, we stuff another part, we stuff another part. Then we go into life and we start learning a whole mechanism, a whole way of being in the world in order to sort of fit in, to get love, to be approved. Who do I need to be to get love? Who do I need to be approved? Who do I need to be in order to have you love me, to fit in? And we start learning a dance, a survival mask to get love, be approved, fit in, get validation, to just ultimately function and survive in the world. And we slowly, unconsciously cut off parts of our authentic nature just to contort ourselves into a certain shape, into a certain way of being, to just survive and get through. And as a result, we cut off parts of ourselves, and that's why I believe so many people stop feeling, because we shut off that feeling mechanisms to avoid pain, and we've shut off the access to who we are, to get love, to be approved, to get validation. And before you know it, we're not even really in touch with who we are, with our life force, with our authentic nature. Then we go through life kind of disconnected. And I think as a result of this being living dead syndrome, this living dead feeling, and we don't even know we're living dead. We just think, hey, it's just who I am. This is just me. And I said, well, is it really who you are? Or is that just who you've been conditioned into being and become so used to that? It's like, one of my old teachers asked me, how do you kill a frog? I'm like, how do you kill a frog? You just catch it and chop it. He goes, no. It will run away. How do you kill a frog? Well, and he gave this funny analogy, and he said, if you take a pot of cold water, put it on a stove, a portable stove, and just lay it out there in nature, and the frog will jump in. And before you know it, you just turn the stove on slowly. It's cold at first, the water starts boiling slowly, and before you know it, the frog's dead. And he laughed, and he said, many times we're in cold water, and before you know it, we get comfortable, and we get comfortable, and we get comfortable, we get comfortable, we get comfortable, and before you know it, we're just living dead, and we don't even know it. We think that living dead is actually normal. We think that that's just normal. We've become accustomed to that way of being, and it's sad, because we wake up, we go to work, we wake up in a box, we brush our teeth in a box, we go to the fridge and open and eat from the box, we microwave our food in the box, we type on the box, we Skype on the box, we Facebook on the box, we drive to work in a box, we work in a box, we come home, we eat from the box, we go to the toilet in the box, shower in the box. Average American spends 5 hours watching the box every day on TV, and then we go to sleep, wonder, why do I feel so boxed in? Why do I feel so not alive? And then the game continues as a result of that disconnection. Then we end up kind of looking for superficial, illusory sources for aliveness. As in, wow, I feel disconnected, so maybe I'll just unconsciously create drama in my relationship so I can feel like I'm alive, Maybe I'll do drugs so I can have a momentary high for a moment. Wow, I'm high for a moment until that high wears off. Maybe I'll drink some alcohol. I'll feel alive until that wears off, so I have to keep doing it again, which then only generates addiction, so before we start searching for superficial forms of aliveness as a result of the disconnection from our own inner connection, our own inner aliveness. So to me, this is what it is to live dead, is to not truly be in touch with who we are, to not truly be living our authentic lives, living ourselves, being who we are courageously. And it takes courage. It takes real courage for us to wake up. And sometimes, as I said, we can't always afford to wake up, because we've erected a nice prison. We've created a life. Everything's in place. We've got the job, and the job which may not be making us happy. We have the relationship which may not be fulfilling us. Maybe not. When we've learned to kind of settle for all these things in our lives, and it's okay, it's fine. And we have everything neatly placed out in this prison. But maybe in this prison we have great food, we have a chef, we have great paintings, we have great clothes, great work. But the reality is we're still in the prison. And rather than going, wait, I'm still in the prison, I need to break out of this prison, we learn all these strategies to try and create better prison food, rather than actually breaking out of the prison. So it takes courage, because breaking out of the prison will mean letting go of what's not working. But sometimes we've invested so much into building that, creating that, even though now it's limiting our freedom. I remember I was in India one time, and someone told me a story about, he said, "Kute, do you know how they catch monkeys?" I said, "No, well, how do they catch monkeys?" Because he said, "You can't really catch monkeys. How do they catch monkeys?" And he said, "Well, they take a cage with like kind of a cage, and there's bars around this cage, and there's a little hole. He said they set a banana and they put the cage on top of the banana, and the monkey will put its hand in through the bars and grab the banana like that, and it will then go to pull out, pull its hand, and it's trapped. It can't, because in order to let go and take its hand out, it has to let go of the banana.
Right.
But it's holding so tightly to the banana that it's like, so, I'd say if you're on this webinar, if you're on this teleconference, I would invite each person to feel, what is it in your life that is limiting your freedom? What is it in your life that is disconnecting you from joy? What is it in your life that you know deep down it's time to let go of? A job, a relationship, an identity, a way of being, someone, a person? What is it in your life that's robbing you of your aliveness? And to me, one of the keys to truly transforming your life is to have the courage to tell, you talk about courage, the courage to tell the truth to yourself about where you are at and where you're not. Like, this is what I feel, because many of us, as a way to preserve the homeostasis of what we've created, to not mess up our structure, we often deceive ourselves. We often lie to ourselves. No, everything's fine. I'm kind of okay here. No, it's cool. I'm in love.
It's
no,
not
it's
that bad.
or we play this game. This game that I call the confusion game. Like, or I don't know. Am I in love? I don't know if I'm in love with him or not. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know. And we play this game like, I don't know. It's BS. Most of the time, deep down, if we're honest, we know. We know.
Yeah.
If we're honest, if you put a gun to the person you love the most and say, do you know or do you not? Otherwise, we're going to shoot this person. We'll be like, here's my truth. But we have so much at stake, and there's payoffs for staying stuck. But it takes courage to truly live an authentic life, and that's why I say one of the first steps is having the courage to tell the truth to yourself about where you are at, where you're not, and be ruthlessly, compassionately honest about, this is what I feel. I hate my job. I'm afraid to say I hate my job, because what does that mean now? But I hate my job. I'm in a job that doesn't serve my soul, but I'm only doing this for the money, for survival, and I'm afraid that if I leave, then how am I going to survive? So I hate my job. Tell the truth, rather than saying, well, it's okay. So tell the truth to yourself, because the truth will set you free. And as you tell the truth, I hate my job, I'm afraid to leave, I'm not going to leave because I'm afraid of how am I going to survive. Just telling the truth, you will feel the burn of the truth. You've outed yourself. You can no longer go back. You know the truth. Now it's just only a matter of time till the process of telling the truth will start to work inside of you, and your unconscious mind will start coming up with resources to redirect your energy. And the truth is one of the foundational keys. What keeps people stuck, going around in circles, staying stuck, is we don't tell the truth to ourselves. We're constantly finding ways to justify and rationalize why we are the way we are, why we're doing what we're doing, and we're lying to ourselves. It takes courage to say, this is what I feel. It may not sound spiritual. It may not sound right. It may not be where I want to be, but this is where I'm at. And to start there, that takes real courage.
Okay, I think that's so true. And I love how you describe the prison and how we'll decorate the prison and we put other things in the prison that makes it more comfortable, but it's still a prison. I know when I walked away from my corporate job, I thought I was just leaving the job, but like the relationship I was in started to fall apart. Everything that I had built up was starting to fall apart. What are things that we can do in that process to help us let go and to help us kind of get through that process when we're building a new life?
Yeah, one of those things was obviously tell the truth, which I talked about. That's without that, everything else is just built on a lie, and you're just trying to create a life on a lie. Right. So you got to tell the truth, which honestly takes so much courage. If you start telling the truth, everything that is no longer in alignment will start falling apart. Then as you do that, then decide, what am I going to do, and how do I need to rearrange my life? How do I need to rearrange my relationships in order to, because so much of the environment around us is keeping us stuck. The environment, the associations, the relationships are kind of supporting us and supporting the identity of who we've been up until that point that keeps us stuck. So many times, one of the things that can, it's like you can take the best shower, buy the best soap. You can meditate, visualize, practice the secret, go to church, go to temple, read 700 books, read The Power of Now, and then jump in a swamp and say, I'm clean, I'm clean, I'm clean. No. The reality is your environment is going to affect you. It's like going into an airport where there's a room for smokers. You can have the best cologne, the best essential oils, but you walk into that room and you sit in a room where 50 people are smoking. Even if you don't smoke, you're gonna be impacted by that smoke. So I think it's important that we also support ourselves in rearranging our environment so that the environment can be conducive to supporting our transformation, supporting our truth, surrounding ourselves with people that see who we are, that will not allow us to be less than we are, that will not take our BS, that will not compromise, that will speak the truth and they'll say, hey, you have something in your teeth right now. Right. Or hey, you know what? What you just did, that was not cool. It was not okay. I know you're more than that. Let's talk. And to have people in your life that will hold you at your highest and demand, lovingly invite and demand the highest from you and not let you live less than your truth and give you and inspire you to have the courage, to live your authentic life, And I think that's important. And, I think one of the keys too is sometimes we think if I get rid of fear or we think I need to know where I'm going. I need to know my whole plan. I need to know exactly the steps and what my purpose is going to be. The one I know, then I'm going to do it. And it's a myth. What do we do? Give up the need to know. I mean, ultimately, if you really look, well, no, Kute, I need to know. Well, we think we're in control, but we're really not really in control. And if you look at how many things you thought were a certain way, how many relationships you thought you knew what it was and it really wasn't, how many situations you thought were and they weren't. I mean, many times things aren't what we think they are with our limited perception based on who we are today. Right. That I believe intelligence of life has a way bigger intelligence and plan that we can ever imagine. So I think one of the real freedoms in the process is the courage to surrender, the courage to give up control and say, okay, I'm not in control, but I'm open. And including in that is giving up the need to know. That if I know what's next, no. All we need to know is like, what now? What now? Okay. If I know my entire purpose, then I'll take the steps. I say you don't need to know the entire totality of life and purpose. What's important is feel the next step. What's the next step? Okay. Make that phone call or quit my job and go traveling and go in this direction. Oh, okay. Yes, quit my job, go traveling, and travel to Los Angeles or the Bahamas. And why? I don't know why, but I have the strong feeling I'm meant to do X. Do this thing. Okay. Why? I don't know why, but I can feel it. But the mind comes in, but why? And how are you going to do that? And before you know it, we've talked ourselves out, right. Like, no. So, I say that it's not about asking how, it's about saying yes. That if we are guided to do something, that is the way that life itself, the divine itself, the infinite itself is seeking to express through us. And encoded in every goal, vision, intuition, dream is also the seed for its fulfillment. It's already there. That if we say yes, then we activate the intelligence of life to support us. So you don't have to know, but I believe if you take that next step, I was just telling someone today, the universe will let you know what you need to know when you need to know it on a need to know basis at exactly the point you need to know it. So if you don't know, then you don't need to know, but you know what you need to know, and what you need to know, maybe just take one step. Right. And I say that if you take one step and then you take the next step, and then the next step will lead you to the next step. Yeah. And then that next step will lead you to the next step, and the next step will lead you to the next step. And because many times we're trying to determine like what's around the corner, like 400 yards away, what's around the corner to the left. How are we going to see what's around the corner to the left? You have to be around the corner with your head around the corner, looking around the corner in order to see it. So, but if you take that step and before you'll get to that corner, you look around and go, this is where I need to go.
Right.
That's it. Life. So I believe that life reveals itself in the process of living itself. That it's not a mental process. And many times it's about course correcting all the way. That success is really not a straight line. I have this plan. I'm going to impose my plan onto life. It's a constant moment of adjustment, course correction, adjustment, course correction. So on success can almost be said success is a series of constant failures and readjusting. Because you often bring it back. So maybe you're failing most of the time, but you're bringing it back, course correcting, and in that process, you'll find out. Life will reveal to you exactly where you need to be, and many times you'll find yourself living into your life's purpose. Okay. It's like, wow, I'm actually doing that thing now, versus trying to figure it all out. I mean, you look at people like Oprah. I mean, how can you imagine? How on earth was Oprah at 22 years old or 23 years old going to be like, I'm with Oprah, we're $3 billion, with OWN, and I mean, I don't think she could have planned that. But she did take a step and went in the direction of a vision, which is communication, which is being a broadcaster. Then she was fired from the newscasting because, she would read the news and cry all the time because she was so compassionate and so, like, in touch with the emotions of the stories. And they're like, well, we're going to give you a different job, which is really a demotion, to go do this, mini talk show somewhere. And we all know the stories of this talk show. It blew up because it was in alignment where she could feel her natural emotions and tears. And here we have, overnight success, Oprah. Right. If you look at someone like Obama, I mean, politics are not politics. I mean, do you think he imagined at 20 years old he was going to be president of the U.S.? I mean, but he just obviously followed his path. And so I believe that if we follow, our responsibility is to not figure it out, but to follow, have the courage to tell ourselves the truth and to follow our most authentic truth. Turn left, boom, okay, turn left. Go straight, okay, call this, okay. And to follow that without compromise. To give up the need to know and trust in the intelligence of life. Trust that force of life that is living and breathing us, that force of life that is functioning our eyesight and causing you to hear this, my voice right now, and digesting and processing your food, and that same force of life that brought us into existence, that is the same breath that is living and breathing 7 billion human beings and all of existence itself, that same intelligence, surely it knows how to fulfill our destiny at the same time. So I believe that, to me, that's the courage. And I think the real courage is giving up control. The real courage is saying, okay, I'm going to trust life. I'm going to trust bigger than my mind, trust bigger than my conditioning, and say, I surrender. I think that takes real courage. I think for me, too, after reading thousands of books and, having my own spiritual practice for the last years, it's gotten simpler on one level, because I think the deeper I go, the more I realize I don't know. The deeper I go, the less I know. The deeper I go, the more I realize I don't know. And it becomes more humbling. Like, geez, I used to think I knew a lot. Now I don't think I know anything. Right. So these days it's more like, okay, the courage to just show up and not know. Like, I don't need to know. I don't know. I'm just here. Something just guided me to just go here. Okay. And really trust that intelligence. And I think in that there's a surrender. To surrender, to stop imposing our limited will on life and say, okay, universe, my prayer has become, I surrender to the highest good in this situation. I surrender to the highest good, that the highest good unfold in this connection, in this business relationship, in this I surrender to the highest good, because I believe that if we invoke that energy, that intention, then the highest good will always unfold. And if that's where our awareness is, that's where our attention is, it takes courage to let go of control, then we can rest assured that what unfolds, because we've asked for it, is the highest good, even if we can't see it in that moment right now. So it takes courage.
Yeah, it sure does, and I love that. I think those were great tips. What do you do to stay connected to the divine? What do you do to stay aligned? What are your self-care practices?
What do I do? For me personally, I meditate. You
Awesome.
know,
Yeah.
it's it's not too complicated.
Yeah. Nothing
I,
like
I
meditation.
meditate, take time to just tune in and reflect and meditate and connect and go inwards. That's for me the simplest, most effective way to clear stuff, to clear the static and just drop in and stay connected. And obviously there's things that people can do, journal and
Hmm.
walk in nature and be with nature and but I love meditation.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, meditation. There's nothing like meditation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what are you working on now, Q? Where's your business going? What kind of projects are you working on right now?
Sure. So we're working on this. We could be here for another hour on that, on that question, but a couple of exciting things. Working on a book, and hopefully the book will be out next year. It's called Love Now,
Okay.
and it's really about helping people live boldly and authentically. Everything I've been sharing on this call,
Okay.
and it's really exciting. I've had a few people read it and getting amazing feedback on it so far. And two amazing experiences. I just came back from Bali, and I do an event in Bali twice a year called Boundless Bliss,
Mhm.
the Bali Breakthrough Experience, where we take about 20 leaders and visionaries to Bali, and they gather from all around the world. I think we had 7 or 8 countries, people from 7 or 8 countries come, and we have about 20 people who really feel a deep calling to have a big impact on the planet, a deep calling to serve humanity, a deep calling to make a difference on this planet, and feel ready in their lives to give their gifts and share their love, and ultimately break through whatever has maybe blocked them from being and living full courage in their lives. So we do this twice a year, once in July, and our next event is December the 5th.
Okay.
And it's truly an amazing experience. It's about 12 days. One of my favorite things to do and facilitate, where I use Bali as the backdrop, Bali as the seminar room, so to speak, to facilitate transformation. And I feel into where people's deepest blocks are, and I create processes and experiences that help to stretch and challenge and open
Wow.
people to just really ultimately living their best self and catapulting them into living the real purpose for why they were here. And it's truly amazing. There's many different yoga retreats and different events that happen in Bali, but I say that what I do is I really also take people to the secret Bali. Bali is not just a physical geography. It's an inner state of consciousness. And the real pilgrimage on this journey is not to just temples and rice fields and physical places. The real pilgrimage is an inner journey
Okay.
inside to to access those places in your own self that perhaps you've disowned, to access the cave inside of your own spirit, your own heart that you haven't explored, and excavate whatever's been inside, whatever's laid dormant inside, and release potential. So it's an inner journey of transformation where we use Bali as the backdrop, and it's really amazing. People really reconnect with themselves. They reconnect with their aliveness. They reconnect with the knowing of this is who I am and this is why I'm on the planet. And you also have a real amazing network, a powerhouse of individuals that come together to support each other in manifesting their visions and dreams on the planet. So it's an amazing process, and it's for me, every time I facilitate, it's truly humbling to facilitate. It's
Sounds
this like the ultimate courage
right.
journey.
It sounds like it. Could you share like a success story, anything that stands out that someone has overcome or was able to achieve after experiencing this?
Honestly, there's many. I mean, there's people that have come to it and broken through their fear of intimacy and connection and just issues around relationship and gone on to get married. You know, there's individuals that have been. I never forget I had a client who was kind of like a shy person, and she identified herself as someone who was shy and in the background and kind of quiet,
Okay.
and ultimately, you know, there were reasons for that. That certain things happened as a child, sexual molestation and abuse and pain and trauma that happened that caused her to go into hiding. And as a result, her survival mechanism was, well, if no one sees me, if I'm hiding and if I'm in the background of life, then no one can see me, and as a result, I can't be hurt, because when I'm out there and when I'm seen and when people see me, then I can get hurt because it happened when I was a child. So she wasn't aware how that was impacting her today. She just thought, well, I'm just a quiet person. I'm just a shy person. And yet she felt so much potential, so much that she wanted to express, but somehow there was something that wasn't fully allowing her to stand in her power, stand in her strength, so to speak. So after that process of really helping her clear many of those blockages, many of which she wasn't even consciously aware of, because many things we're not even consciously aware of. Every single thing that ever happens to us is ultimately stored in our nervous system. Every single memory is stored in our nervous system. Nervous system is the antenna to the world, and as a result, it's what's filtering, it's what's determining, it's what's causing us to perceive life. So for me, one of the processes of healing and transformation is clearing the nervous system, is releasing the nervous system, because as we release the nervous system, that transforms how we see life, perceive life, that transforms our experience of life, and as a result, what we're attracted to, what we feel, what our goals are, what we feel our capacity is. So for me, it's about expanding human potential, So as a result of that process and transforming, she went through, was able to unravel her conditioning. I say to the degree that we're conditioned, it's the degree that we're not free. And many times we think, oh, I have free will, but we don't realize we're just being run by the conditioning and programming of our past, of our childhood, that we're not even aware of. We just say, no, it's just who I am. So I always say, is who you are who you really are, or is it who you've been conditioned to be? But often we don't even know, because we're just living it, saying this is just me, it's just me, it's just me. And many times it's not who we are. There's a whole other level inside of us. There's a whole other aspect, the dimension of our being inside of us waiting to express. So as she was able to break through her own fears, as she was able to break through her own, limiting stuff, it freed her up to realize, wow, I've been hiding my whole life to keep myself safe. I've been hiding my whole life to keep myself from avoiding hurt. I've been hiding my whole life so that I wouldn't attract attention and be seen. And that's not who I am. That's not me. And as a result, accessed her power, accessed her real ability to be truly, truly powerful. So for me, it's about helping people get to the core of what the blockages are, and then helping you transform, heal, shift, and then from that place, you're able to see life clearly, and then we catapult you into living your true purpose on this planet. So it's an amazing, life-changing process. We've had in the last 3 years, the last 2.5, 3 years, we've done 7 of these journeys, and really amazing. And December the 5th will be our 8th one, and we've had over 120 people go through the Boundless Bliss Bali journey from all around the world. Everyone from, celebrities, models, business moguls, you name it. So, and it's really for leaders that really feel a destiny to make a difference.
Okay, that sounds transformational. Sounds amazing. If people want to know more about this, where can they find out more
Yes,
about you?
they can go to Boundless, as in Boundless, BOUNDLESS,
Okay.
Boundless Bliss Bali, boundlessblissbali.com. They can find out more. There's an amazing video there that I really invite everyone to watch. And if you feel the calling, you'll know in your heart if you feel the calling. If you happen to feel the calling, then it's meant to be. I was told in my meditation when I first created the process that there were people that were destined to do the journey, and that when they watched the video, when they came to the site, they would simply know, and it was that simple.
Okay.
So everyone has known, and they felt destiny. So.
Okay, that's really amazing. Thank you, and thank you for sharing so much with us. I know that the audience is going to get a lot out of the information you shared, and I just wanted to just tell a short story of how I came to become familiar with you and your work. I
Sure.
actually went to Ghana for 2.5 weeks a few years ago, and yeah, I know, I know your father's from Ghana, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I went to
I was
Ghana.
born in Ghana. My father's from Ghana.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it was a life-changing trip. And the day that I got back, someone posted your video, "The Miracle Is You," showed up in my news feed. And I clicked on it and watched it, and it totally just put me in touch with sort of my core self. I was still in
Wow.
corporate America at the time, but I listened to that track like all the time, and it really gave me a lot of courage and just helped me stay in tune with myself, where I was able to kind of leave corporate America. I started my own business. It was very successful, and I just found my bliss.
See
So
that that gives me inspiration because that's why I do what I do. You
I
know,
love it. Yeah.
is just to inspire
Mhm.
people such as yourself. You know,
Yeah.
so to hear that and to know that
Mhm.
that a video I made just out of love, a video I made just out of love, and you know it was a pretty complex video, and I remember going, am I really going to make this video? This is insane. This is like
Right.
it's you know an investment of money and time and energy. That's like, yeah, I need to make this video. And to hear stories like that, like, wow, that you have, you know, had the courage to follow your heart is really inspiring to me and gives me more inspiration.
Oh,
So,
thank you, Q, and just thank you so much. Did you have any last thoughts you wanted to share with the audience?
yeah, I would just like to say, you know, life, and everyone listening, is
Mhm.
life is short. You know, we never know when that moment will come. As I said, death is a guarantee. Yet somehow when it happens, we often think, oh my God, I'm going to die, it's happening. But it's the only thing that is guaranteed. We're not guaranteed to have family. We're not guaranteed to have either parent. We're not guaranteed to go to college. We're not guaranteed to, you know, be safe in life. We're not guaranteed to get married. Nothing's guaranteed. The only guarantee is you will die. And I would invite each person to remember that and make that their friend and ask yourself, if today was the last day of your life, are you ready? Are you ready? Would you be ready to go? Would you be ready to say, yes, I'm ready? And if not, why not? And to not waste time on petty things, to not waste time on your excuses, to not waste time on haters and people that say things about you and have negative energy, not waste time to have a vision so big that it requires all of you. Because at the end of your life, when you meet your maker, and that time comes and you look God or you know whatever it is in the eyes, the intelligence,
Right.
you can't say, "Hey God, you know, I know I'm here in heaven, but can you give me? Can I get a refund of another like 10 years?" It's like it's gone forever. But I believe that we should live life with no regret. Did the people in New York, you know, 9/11 have any idea that they would not come home that night and look their loved ones in the eyes and say, "I love you"? Did they have any idea that they would not come home in Japan or in the Southeast Asian tsunamis and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me? That if there's anything you want to do, if there's anything you're seeking to do not waste any time. Do it now. This moment right now is a gift, and it's literally the only guarantee that you have is now. And tomorrow is not some right we should have. Like, oh, why didn't I wait? Like, you know, of course I should live tomorrow. What do you mean, of course we should live tomorrow? It's no right.
Mhm.
Every second, every breath is a privilege. It's a privilege that every day, moment we wake up and go, oh, thank you, God, thank you, universe, thank you, intelligence. Like, you've given me another breath. It's like, thank you. So how are you going to use that? How are you going to live that in
Right.
a way that when that moment comes, you have no regrets? That's what I would say.
That was perfect. No regrets. I love the way that you ended that. Well, thank you so much, Q. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kiana. It's been a real pleasure so far. Let's
Okay.
do it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone, we will see you tomorrow with the next video. Thank you very much.